Real Estate Rewired.
Welcome to Real Estate Rewired, AI with a Heart with Gus Wade, and today my guest is Kim Simpson. Kim is the founder and broker of Time Real Estate, an independent boutique brokerage she built from the ground up from 2017. She works two markets, Middletown, Delaware, and Royal Oak on Maryland's Eastern Shore. She specializes in the kind of waterfront and coastal business that does not survive on Zillow leads alone. Kim has spent more than 20 years in the industry, long enough to watch the portals take the top of the funnel, watch the franchises try to consolidate everything in sight, and watch the tools change under her feet 3 or 4 times. She's done all of that without giving up her independence. That is rare and getting rarer. What's that? I love it. Well, listen, you got to be a little stubborn to be in this business. So thank you for jumping on today, and thank you for your patience as we work through the audio issues.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, Kim, I always like to start here, right? Most people at 8 years old didn't say, I want to sell real estate. So as a little kid, what is it that you loved, and how did you sort of end up in this space?
Really, as a little kid, I loved to write. I loved to write stories, and I always thought I was going to be a teacher.
Wow. Well, and it's interesting because telling stories and teaching, that's a through line that really comes through in real estate.
Yes.
But give me a little sense of like where you came from, what was your journey into real estate? How did you get into this space?
So, when people ask this question, it's not glamorous. And I was one of those people who thought, let's get into real estate. It will be fun. And my best friend and I took real estate school together.
Got it. So, and let me ask you this, though. It's tough in the beginning. I mean, getting started in real estate, if you remember back to the beginning, walk me through the first deal that you won and then the first deal that you lost.
So the first deal was very easy because it was my mom.
Okay, great.
And she had an obligation. She couldn't say no.
Got it.
So that was my first deal. And the first deal that I lost, I really primarily worked with buyers, and it was a lot different then. I was fortunate enough that I was with RE/MAX. I started right with RE/MAX, and RE/MAX was always known as experienced agents. They kind of really didn't take new agents. Mm-hmm. But the area that I was in, which was Middletown, was a really new, booming, up-and-coming area. And the broker at that point was new agents for the most part. So he did a nice training program, and he was a wonderful person, a wonderful broker. And there was some other agents in his office, and one of them kind of took me under their wings a little bit and didn't want to be out there showing the houses a lot. So I just kind of piggybacked under him, helped him out, would pay him a split until I really got established where my own database, and I started, getting repeat business and things like that.
Got it. And what would you say is like, for any new agents, what do you think are the 3 top characteristics one has to have to be successful?
It is constant. It is every day. And I almost say 24/7. I say we're on call to an extent. We're almost physicians to an extent. We have those kind of hours. And it is tough. You have those kind of hours. And if you're not going to pick up that phone just because you think it might be a spam, you're losing an opportunity. Always answer the phone. Secondly, my broker said to me, the very first broker I ever went to, he sat down and he said, this is like opening the shop. You're going to invest this much money. You're going to invest, in your equipment, your signs, and then you're going to invest this much money in advertising and marketing and getting your name out there. And I think today, unfortunately, there are so many brokerages that will try to win you over and say, I'm going to promise you these many leads, you're chasing it. No, you've got to get your own business. You've got to. Do not rely on your broker sending you business. You've got to. And, get out there. And I've said to them, look, you have 1,500 friends on Facebook. I know sometimes you don't really know all of them. You know what I mean? But let them know. Let people know. Send out a letter to your family and your friends introducing that you're in the new business. I'm sure they may have heard it here and there, but let's be serious about it. Let's let them know I'm here. And if you are new, wherever you're at, whether it's your broker or if they've signed you a mentor, let them know. Some people are a little apprehensive about being with an agent that's new. Let them know you have a nice and good educated mentor behind you. It's hard. It's constant. It's the grind. And I've said recently that it's almost not about selling houses. It's about marketing.
So that's a great place to start. Let's back it up a second. So when did you start your own brokerage?
2017.
17. So it'll be 9 years. It'll be 10 years next year. And how many folks do you have on your team?
Currently on so I have my own team within the brokerage,
Right.
and then I have, the independent agents. So there's a total of 11, but on my team, it's myself and 2 other agents who have
Got
been
it.
with me they've been with me for 12 years. Same. One of them is my best friend who went to real estate school with me.
Oh, wow. So you guys are still doing it together.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Fantastic. So, and what would you say, Kim, listen, 20, whatever, it's been a long time. What's the major difference now in terms of how the game is played as opposed to when you started?
But when I started, I don't know if people remember, but there was a company, and I think they're still out there, but they do things a little different, called Lending Tree, right? They would they would send the leads to the gentleman who kind of took me under his wings, and I would work it. So it was online, and that's kind of when I think the more of the online lead generation started. But I think the difference today is, and maybe we were then, but everybody knows a realtor. Everybody knows a realtor, and the consumer goes online unless they really know you or depending on your relationship. And sometimes they go online and they're looking and this realtor is reaching out to them or whatever it may be. And that accidentally happens, right? Even though they were your client, there's no harm intended. They just started answering the questions and it just kind of escalated. So I really feel like it was online then, but I think it's the lead generation companies out there that try to sell you this and sell you that. That's not the answer. So I think it's different in that respect. And I think it's different because a lot of the agents do affiliate with a broker who they feel is going to send them the leads, and they're just chasing it. They're just chasing the business. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there's a couple of things that come up, and I know that, for instance, when Follow Up Boss was purchased by Zillow, and then if you looked in the terms of the contract, Zillow basically said pretty much like, hey, anybody that's ever gone on Zillow is our customer now. And so one of the dangers I feel like in this space that brokers sometimes aren't aware of is the importance of owning your own data, the importance of marketing to your own sphere of influence, because you're absolutely right. Even if it's unintentioned, someone you sold a house to 11 years ago, like, oh, I'm thinking of selling my house. They go online, they start poking around. There's so much incoming now. It just might be unintentional that they don't end up in your world. And I think, and I'll ask your opinion about this, Kim, you're very personable. You obviously know what you're doing. You've been doing this a long time. I was the same way. And I assumed that people would never use anybody else because they liked me so much. How much has that cost us, huh?
Yes, very much true.
Do you find that to be true in your own case? Like you'll see on Facebook, someone bought something and you're like, oh my God, why didn't they? What? Do you find that to be an issue?
I find that sometimes. I do find that happening. And, sometimes it happens accidentally. Let's just say they're the listing agent and they call them, on the house just to ask a quick question. That's what I want to do. Just ask a quick question. And and then it just escalates. And yes, that does happen. But quick little funny story.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Me probably about a year ago, previous client of mine, and I stay in touch. I do birthday cards, we do events, we do these things. And they have emailed me back and forth questions here and there about certain houses. Did they want to sell? Did they not? And they were kind of like wishy-washy, but we're in touch. And I see that on Facebook, they put their house on the market with this other realtor. And I was pretty bothered by it. I was really bothered by it. I was just like, oops, sorry, that was my dogs.
That's okay.
You're kidding me. Now I know this realtor lives in their neighborhood. So, and she does they do a lot of business in it. And so I was very taken back about it, and I was pretty upset and hurt. And I just, I let it go, never said anything. Just here we are a year later. This person who she sold her house, bought another house from him, calls me and says, it was a terrible experience. I will never use that person again. And I want to go to some open houses, and I want to know if you'll represent us. We trust you. So It does come back sometimes. I think sometimes they have to be bit, not, and I don't want that to happen to anybody,
Right.
but, and I said to my client, I said, and we know who this person is, and I said, this is not the first call that I've received with this kind of a situation with this same person. So, what you see on the front is not always, what you see behind the doors, basically. When
Right.
you're being represented. So they realized that person was not really looking out for them. They just wanted the transaction.
So, yeah, no, and I love that. So let me ask you this. In terms of, I heard recently, and I really like this idea that every job is a series of tasks and every workflow is a series of tasks, right? You got to do stuff every day. You got to answer emails. You got all kinds of stuff you have to do. AI can do more and more of those tasks. And the way that I frame it, it's like there's the black, right? Like if I get a text from my doctor a day ahead of time saying you have an appointment tomorrow, AI could do that 100% of the time because I either do or I don't. When I'm in front of the doctor and he's reading my results back, I always want that to be the doctor. But there's a tremendous amount in between those two extremes that AI can do. Have you played around yet with any of your workflows and what AI can do or can't do?
So what I've really done with AI is more just research and information. I really haven't had them I have had them create projects, portfolios. I've had them flyers. I've had them create things in it and give suggestions, but to actually, I guess you could say that's doing it, but there's still a big part of it that I have to do. And they're like, do this, get, in that respect. So there is a big part of it. And I have toyed with it. I actually just did this morning. There was a video from an agent far in another state. And I loved the way that they did it. And I loved their checklist and what they had. And so I just took the link and I put it in ChatGPT and I'm like, can you duplicate this? And it was like, absolutely can, but you need to do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, that's not what I wanted.
Right.
So I have to play with it a little bit more to see what the capability is.
Absolutely. And now let me ask you this. How many hours a day or how much time do you think you spend responding to emails?
Maybe an hour, hour and a half.
A day. Got it. And in terms of the agents that are working with you, have any of them sort of come to you and said, hey, I'm doing this with AI, or can we do that? Or I heard about this shiny new tool. And how do you sort of prevent the shiny new tool syndrome? Kind of like what you said. Wow, you like this thing, but doing it and hearing about it are two different things.
For the most part, what they do is they're asking it questions, and it could be a legal question or something to that respect. And it's not always correct when it comes to the legal aspect of a contract, but they have not had them, and I'll do that too, but then I check it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, how accurate is this? Or I'll question it. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And they're like, that's great that you asked that question. You're correct. It's not, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. So I just don't want my agents to depend on that legally. If they can check it, but they should verify it with me, go online, do it on Delaware real estate, Maryland, wherever they're practicing. But I don't think a lot of them use it. They just more old school still. At least in mine. Yeah. I mean, they may use it for, I think they'll do some research on it. They'll, those information, but to be able to create for them or make their workflow easier, they don't.
Got it. And switching gears a little bit, which neighborhoods do you love the most that you work in? Like, do you have a particular area where you're like, God, every time I turn down that street, I just love it?
So on the Eastern Shore, it's really more waterfront properties that I love. In Delaware.
Well, let's talk about the waterfront for a moment. Because I don't know that I don't have a picture in my mind. So paint a picture for me of what the waterfront is like. Like if I was never there, what would you say to me about it?
You literally feel like you're in another world. You're just, depending on where you're at. And most of it on the Eastern Shore, you have some of them are 1 acre lots, but most of them are 2, 3, 10 acre lots where you're off the road. You're kind of secluded out on the water. And depending on where you're at, you can hop on your boat and take it to the marina, to the restaurants. And just, it's sometimes you don't even have to go, on your car, drop your keys and stay for the day or weekend on the water. It's just, I call it blue therapy. I trademarked that. I trademarked blue therapy in regards to selling waterfront property, the scientific mindset, the de-stress, the relaxation that you have when you own waterfront property. And that's what I call it. blue therapy. So I can show you I'm here. I can turn the computer around and show you what it
Let's
looks
see it. Let's see what it looks
okay.
like. This will be good. This will be my first waterfront on the podcast.
Okay, here we go.
Look at that.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yes.
That is beautiful.
Yes. You
And
feel like you definitely feel like you're in another world for sure.
And so that's your property that you would walk down to the water?
Yes.
My
Yes.
God, it looks like a wonderful day down there too. It's
Beautiful
still
today. That's why I'm outside. That's why I'm outside. It's a beautiful day. When it's a day like this, my office becomes the porch. So
love it. Love
yeah.
it. So not only do you live there, you sell there, and obviously it's your happy place. It's your blue therapy place.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I always find it's so much easier to sell what you love. I mean, I don't even mean sell. Your love for it gets transferred to the buyer.
Right. Exactly. Yes, exactly. And there's a lot to know living on the water, environmental, what you can and what you cannot do. It's not just let's go buy a house. We
Right.
built ours, and that's even more information that you need to know in regards to the soil. What position can you put your house? I mean, there was a lot to it.
I'd like to go there for a second. So if someone were thinking of moving to this place that you love, what do you think is the 3 things they really would need to consider that they didn't think about before they decided to get waterfront property?
So there's several different bodies of water here, and what is it that you prefer? Do you prefer deeper water that's sometimes can feel like the Atlantic Ocean with the waves, big open body of water where you can actually have a boat and have deep water? Or do you prefer the little inlets or the coves off of these rivers where you can do a little bit more calmness, kayaking, canoeing, paddleboarding? What is it that you like to do? What is it that you want to do when you're here? And then there's a lot, if you're building or if you want to put in a dock, there's a mapping system that you have to go through to see how much of the water that you're allowed to block from the sun. That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
The riprap, the flood zones, how far is your house going to be off the water? A lot of these are nice because depending on where you're at and where you're buying, there's different requirements now. Like if you were to even put in a pool, they call it buffer management. You have to plant so many trees and shrubs up and near the water. So there's a lot of things to know buying on if someone comes to me and says, I'm going to want to build a little cottage or a deck. Well, they need to know that any earth that they disturb, they're going to need to plant trees in lieu of so many square footage. So permit process, there's a lot to know in that respect. But those I think are the big things. What kind of water do you want to be in? Do you want to try to get in and swim? What's the jellyfish like each year? It's a little different. Last year was really, really bad. So, there's a lot. And how access, how far do you want to be out? Because we're close. We're about 2 hours from the DC area, and it's congested and heavy. And some people love to be out away from everyone. They need that break. And some people are they would go stir crazy. This is too far out for me. I don't want to be like that. So those are the kind of things that would be important.
And the market right now, if you're a buyer looking to buy on the Eastern Shore, what are you facing right now?
We still face low inventory where homes that are not updated and modern. And that is homes that are updated and modern sell at the snap of a finger because the majority of people, it's a second home for them. And they don't have time to worry about contractors. And I've had clients that 3, 4, 5 million, they won't even buy a house that doesn't have a pool because they don't want to deal with the contractor. They're not here. They don't have time.
Right.
So,
and then for a seller, so there's low inventory. The ones that are renovated are going to be snapped up quickly. You're in a wealthy, Philadelphia, DC, so you've got a lot of money around. And for sellers, what do you think the biggest misconceptions that sellers have on the Eastern Shore?
There is some truth to, absolutely, they're not making waterfront land anymore, right? So what's here is what's here. So a lot of them feel that they can just put their house on the market in the condition that it is in. And not that it's rough, it's just not it's just dated. And they feel that it would still sell for the price that they want. So I think that's the major misconception. But they, removing wallpaper and changing the flooring and, what I mean? Those kind of things is very important. And a lot of them think that they don't have to do that.
Got it. And so that'll be a challenge because, and I always found this really interesting, right? The sellers are very attached to their home thinking that the green this or whatever was really cool. But buyers are seeing and comparing it to everything else out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when buyers walk in, they know immediately, oh, this is a good deal. I mean, this is priced really well because the one up the street that wasn't renovated was going for 2.2 and this one's, 199. Like, wow, let's put in an offer. Is that the way that game is sort of played?
Sort of, yeah. Definitely. I do think that prices I really have come down a little bit. When I see something pop on the market, I'm kind of surprised that it's the price that it is, a little lower. So I do think that they're being a little bit more conservative with the prices, definitely as well. Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
I think people are listening to the politics and the war and the gas and, and maybe they're just ready to go and they don't want to deal with it. And maybe they want to go to warmer states and, this is the time. But I think that might have a lot to do with it.
Got it. And Kim, let me ask you this. What do you still love about what you're doing?
I really love helping people. This is just really weird. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking that just can't be. But, do I have a goals? Do I have a mindset of what, income that I would like to make or need to make? Yes. But that doesn't enter my mind. There's something in me that has a defense mechanism that I want to help somebody. And if I see anything happening that is veering where they could get taken advantage of, there's something in me that just kicks in and helps them. So I really enjoy helping them, and trust is huge. And I think people know that they can trust me, and I just love helping them, whether it's buying or selling. Yeah.
I'm feeling mama bear energy over here. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
Probably, yes.
I have a feeling the claws come out when the other side's trying to take advantage of your client a little bit.
That can happen. And not to try to be boastful in any way, but I mean, even last year I had a client, I represented the seller, and we were doing some negotiating, and the agent was really trying to pull some things that legally he didn't have a leg to stand on. And even at the settlement table, it was kind of, a little bit stressed a little bit. 2 months later, I get a call from that buyer's girlfriend. They live in Georgia. And she's like, you don't know me, but you helped my boyfriend you were the seller's agent. And he really loved how you negotiated. We have a house to sell up there. We want to help you. We want you to help us. So I'm like, okay, sometimes you don't know if the consumer can see through the agent, right? But they were able to, and I had another situation where the woman was buying a foreclosure that I had listed, and the agent let her go into the house. I went to check on it, and she was in there by herself, and he gave her the code. I mean, just so many things were going wrong, and we ended up settling, and I walked out to the car. We were finished. She walks up to the car with me, and she said, you were more helpful to me than my agent was, and we've become very good friends, and she sent me tons of business.
Well, and what's interesting about it, Kim, I have found in those circumstances too, whenever I took the high road, right? Instead of piling on, if I said, well, you know what, maybe they were having a bad day, I get it, or whatever, like it's such a different conversation when I'm not throwing them under the bus and acknowledging that they may have had that experience. And you know what I mean? I just think it leaves a better taste in their mouth.
Yes.
That we're being gracious.
Yes.
Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, I'd say yes, definitely.
Got it. Well, I mean, this has been fantastic. Kim, let me ask you something. If someone is thinking of buying or selling down in your neck of the woods, how do they get in touch with you?
So on the Eastern Shore, I'm Kim Simpson, broker, realtor, Discover Blue Therapy. In Middletown, I'm Kim Simpson, realtor, broker, Time Real Estate. So they can find me on Instagram, Facebook. My website's timerealestateco.com or discoverbluetherapy.com on the Eastern Shore. Many ways they can find me in any of those options.
Fantastic. Kim, don't hang up, but I want to just say goodbye to our listeners and say thank you so much for watching Real Estate Rewired, AI with a Heart. Kim, thank you for hanging in there today with the technical difficulties as we started. And I got a little bit of blue therapy when you turned your camera around, so I appreciated that. Oh, yeah, it made me feel good.
That's good.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
If you've got value from today's episode, hit subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you're thinking. If you're ready to turn what you love into your superpower and take what you hate off your plate, schedule your free AI discovery call. The link is in the description and pinned comment. I'm Gus Waite. Until next time.